Have you ever wondered how you can gain financial freedom through real estate investing, but are feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start? In this video, we're going to go through a step-by-step guide on how you can go from beginner to pro and fulfill your dreams with real estate investing. But before we get into this video, if you like this kind of content and would like to receive more, click the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure that little bell is turned on so that you can receive more videos just like this one. So as a beginner, you very often have the challenges of overwhelming information. You don't even know where to start. You don't know exactly what to do. And a lot of times the mistake that we make is to just say, oh, there's a house for sale. Let's go. Let's buy it, rent it. We're now real estate investors. And even though that is true, you buy a property and you rent it out and you're real estate investors, there is really a better way to set yourself up for long-term success. So step one is make a plan. Make a plan for what you want to gain out of real estate investing. There are so many different ways of investing in real estate property. There's rental property, which is the most common way, and that is long-term or short-term. So if you go long-term rental and you build your plan accordingly, that'll be different than if you're doing a short-term. So short-term rentals is often Airbnb and that style of short-term, where it's like people don't really sign a long contract. Another way is flip houses. So if you're gonna flip a house, you're gonna buy a property, renovate, and then sell. This is a great way where a lot of people get into real estate, but for ourselves, we've chosen to go with long-term rentals. So we have a couple of long-term rentals right now that we have bought, and my focus has been developing new property as opposed to buying used property. I found that niche to be a little bit easier to get into for ourselves, but long-term rental was a strategy. Once you pick a plan, then research that plan, because you want to know everything that you can possibly know at the beginning stage about that plan. So if you're going to go long-term rentals, research long-term rentals and make that your focus. Don't focus on all the other things and distract your mind. But at a certain point, instead of just wanting to research more and more, you need to build a solid plan, but you can always get that feeling of, you need to jump in and just go. And that's the best real estate advice I ever got. Start somewhere. Everybody has some knowledge about it. And if not, this video hopefully is going to be helpful in giving you a little bit more knowledge about it so that you know these are the steps that we can go into. You need to start somewhere. A lot of people, if they're going to go long-term rentals, they're going to go single family detached. That's what we did. We bought our first property, renovated it, and that gave us the equity that we needed to go into bigger property or more long-term rentals. All right, so now you've decided on a plan and the direction that you want to go. So if you see a property that you're interested in, this is a deal that you want to get. A very common struggle for beginner investors is, how are you going to finance that property? There are a few different options for financing. The most common one is traditional financing. So traditional meaning you go to your broker, you go to a bank, and you have, a down payment that you need to have in order to qualify for the rest of the mortgage. For a rental property, long-term and short-term, you have to have 20% down in Canada. So 20% down is your down payment, and then the rest of it you can finance on an interest rate over up to 30-year term. So you can go 25 or up to a 30-year term. It all depends what your plan is. If you want to get more cash flow up front, potentially a 30-year term makes sense. If you want to pay off the property quicker, a 25-year term might be the better fit. From here, there's another option, and that is to buy property with partners. One thing that people often do is they'll partner up and they'll buy a property, making it easier for the one person, for each individual to qualify, because now as a few of us, we can easier qualify for that investment property. The next way is creative financing. And creative financing has opened doors for a lot of people in getting into real estate financing. There are different ways that creative financing, what does that mean, right? Really, it's not so difficult. It's just a lot of people will go through even seller financing, where the seller has the property paid off and therefore can be the lender. The seller can also act as the lender. And so you can come up with a term agreement. We're going to do seller financing for so many years, and that's when we're going to switch it over into a traditional mortgage and take over and basically pay out the seller all the way. Seller financing, in my experience, has not been as common though as a private lender. And so a lot of times you hear people, especially YouTubers, talk about how to do this with no money, how to get into real estate with no money. And really what we're talking about and what they mean is we use other people's money. So we use other people's money, like private lenders that are looking to invest their money. And real estate is a very safe way to invest because all of the loan is secured on a property. So worst case scenario, there's always a property that stands for the loan. So that helps to mitigate the risk for most lenders. And there's a lot of private lenders out there. Their investment strategy is investing in people that want to develop real estate portfolios. So as you're growing your real estate portfolio, you might want to consider using a private lender. They still require down payment, but they're fairly flexible. Sometimes you can use sweat equity as down payment. Sometimes you can use existing equity in your current home. So they'll just secure like a second mortgage on your current home. There's different ways that a private lender will borrow you money and therefore make that real estate dream a possibility. The best advice I ever got was start somewhere. So you gotta start. And if you have some information and you've been educating yourself in real estate and in real estate investing, the main thing is start somewhere. Think about this. Christopher Columbus is credited for often as the guy that discovered North America. But there were so many sailors in his day. What made him unique? What made him special? The fact that he got on a boat and went. That's what made him special. That's what made him unique. And the mindset is often, well, so many millions of people are not successful with real estate. They're not engaged in real estate. Why would I gain success? And that's the wrong mindset. How many thousands of sailors would there have been in Christopher Columbus's day that would have all had that opportunity or better opportunity, but they just didn't go? One guy went with his crew and he made it. And so that's the proper mindset. You educate yourself to the best of your ability. That's the foundation. You want to be prepared for the what ifs. You want to be prepared for all these things. Then you want to know how to underwrite property. How do you look at these different property? After that, you're going to go shop for property. Okay, now we have a base on where I want to go with this. So now I know what kind of properties I need to look for. And as you keep doing this and researching property, you're going to become better and better and more fluent at it. It's like speaking another language. As you're practicing this, you'll start to see things and you'll just start to notice things that will obviously stick out to you. At a certain point, start somewhere and just go. That's the best advice I ever got in real estate investing. Take the knowledge you have and do something. From here, what's the difference? Why would we say beginner to pro? What's the difference between a beginner investor and a pro investor? And I don't think anybody ever says, oh, that's a pro investor. Probably what makes the difference is we would give authority and give credit to somebody that has multiple investment properties. And so as you consider somebody that has multiple investment properties, you might say, oh, this person has done this a few times. They have learned some things along the way. The big thing with a pro, and I think you set this up all the way in the beginning with what do you want to do with your real estate portfolio? Where do you want to go with this? The big difference is as a pro, you want to scale. So that's the goal, right? That's what I would define as a professional real estate investor. They have many units. They're not just like, I want to have 3 little houses, right? However, as you gain into more and more units, you're going to gain more and more traction with real estate investment. And so a pro is going to focus on more units, but in order to do that, they can't do it alone. And so we built an 8-plex just 2 years ago with the sole purpose of proving that anybody can do it. This was a brand new property. We bought the lot, got a plan together, hired a builder, built the property, and we financed it now over a long term in order to stabilize the property. But anybody can do it. And some of the things that as a pro, the steps in a pro investing is you're going to want to hire or bring on partners. You can't do it alone. So you either hire people or bring on partners in order to be able to scale your business. You don't want to stick to 1 rental property or 2 or 3. Once you can scale your business, you can afford to bring in property managers. You can afford to bring in people that are helping you to succeed. And next, as a pro investor, you would want to develop systems of operation. You don't want to have to focus every time again and again on the basic things of real estate investing. How are we going to finance this property? How are we going to do these things? You don't want to have to focus on those things. You develop a system so that when you see the property, you can underwrite the property, financing is in place. The next step for you to become a professional real estate investor is to research any government programs there might be. So in Canada right now, the government is waiving GST on anything that is long-term rental. So if you're going to develop new long-term rental, the government will waive the GST portion. And this can be a huge difference to people that are coming up and developing long-term rentals. It has to be a rental property. It cannot be a condo or anything that will be for sale. It has to be long-term rentals. Another option that we have for multi-unit financing is the financing option itself. So we can get an insured financing program with like a 5% down, 5% loan to cost, and therefore finance a bigger portion of the property. But the next benefit with that program is we can also finance over a longer time. So these two things, the financing and the GST incentive, are ways the government has tried to boost the housing production in Canada. Those are things that we can take advantage of and try to meet the demand, try to be the solution. Instead of just focus on the negative and look at the problem, we can actually be the solution and develop properties. So in conclusion, you can do it. There is financial freedom through real estate investing, and you can achieve it. Invest in your knowledge, invest in the education for yourself so that you can gain the knowledge base necessary to grow and to go all the steps where, what do you want to do? What's your why? You might not want multifamily. You might not want so and so many units. You might want a different thing. But you can pursue your dream and your goal and be successful in that way. You don't have to do what the next person is doing. You can do what your dream is and pursue that. So invest in yourself, follow after your dream, don't give up, and enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey of learning about real estate investing because it is exciting.